The champagne sat untouched on our dining room table, two crystal flutes catching the candlelight Sarah had so carefully arranged. 16 years of marriage. She'd made reservations at the Italian place where I'd proposed, had worn the emerald dress I loved, had smiled at me with those green eyes that still made my heart skip after all these years. "I need to grab your gift from upstairs," she'd said, kissing my cheek. "Don't peek." I'd laughed, poured the champagne, and waited. That's when I noticed her closet door slightly ajar, a shoebox that had tumbled from the top shelf onto the floor. I'm not a suspicious man. Or at least, I wasn't. But something about that box, hidden so far back, made me curious. Inside were letters, dozens of them, bundled with a faded red ribbon. The paper was thin, yellowed with age, and the handwriting was distinctly masculine. My stomach turned before I even read the first word. "My dearest Sarah," it began. The date made my blood run cold. May 2009. 2 months before our wedding. I read 'em all, every single one. They were love letters from someone named Marcus Chen, passionate and raw in a way that made me feel like a voyeur. He wrote about their future together, about the apartment they'd share in Boston, about how he couldn't wait to wake up next to her every morning for the rest of his life. The letters grew more frequent as the dates progressed, then suddenly anxious. Marcus had received a job offer in Seattle, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. He wanted Sarah to come with him, to leave everything behind. Her responses weren't there, but I could piece together the argument from his increasingly desperate words. Then came the final letter, dated just 3 days before our wedding. My hands shook so badly I could barely read it. "Sarah, please reconsider. I know I said terrible things, that I told you to choose, but I didn't mean it. The baby changes everything. You're right. I'm scared, I'll admit it, but we can figure this out together. Don't marry David. He's a good man, but you don't love him the way you love me. You said so yourself. Call me. Please, we can fix this. I love you. I love our baby. The words blurred. Our baby. Our baby. I looked up at the ceiling, toward Emma's room on the second floor. My daughter, except she wasn't, was she. 16 years old, green eyes like her mother, artistic and brilliant and everything I loved in this world. I'd been there when she was born, cut the umbilical cord with trembling hands, cried as they placed her on Sarah's chest. I'd walked the floors with her during colic, taught her to read, scared away the monsters under her bed. I'd never questioned it. Sarah and I had been together for 8 months when she told me she was pregnant. We'd been careful, but accidents happen. I'd proposed immediately, determined to do the right thing. My parents had been disappointed we weren't waiting, but they'd come around. Everyone had. It had all been a lie. I heard Sarah's footsteps on the stairs and shoved the letters back into the box, my heart hammering against my ribs. She appeared in the doorway holding a wrapped package, her smile faltering when she saw my face. "David, what's wrong? You look like you've seen a ghost." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw the box at her feet and watch her face crumble. I wanted to run upstairs and look at Emma, really look at her, and see if I could find any trace of myself that I'd been too blind to notice was missing. But I didn't do any of those things. "Just a headache," I said, forcing a smile that felt like broken glass. "Stressful week at work. I'm sorry, honey. Maybe we should reschedule dinner." The concern in her eyes looked genuine. 16 years of concern, of partnership, of building a life together. Had any of it been real? "Of course," she said, setting down the gift and touching my forehead. "You do feel warm. Let me get you some aspirin." As she walked to the bathroom, I carefully returned the shoebox to the closet, positioning it exactly as I'd found it. She couldn't know that I knew. Not yet. That night, lying next to my wife in the darkness, listening to her peaceful breathing, I made a decision. I wouldn't confront her in anger. I wouldn't give her the chance to explain or manipulate or lie her way out of this. Instead, I would be patient. I would gather evidence, confirm everything, and then I would destroy the life she'd built on deception. Sarah had stolen 16 years from me. She'd made me love a child who wasn't mine, invest everything I had into a family founded on betrayal. Marcus had walked away from his own daughter, chosen his career over responsibility, and faced no consequences. They both needed to pay. I would make sure they did. The private investigator's name was Rachel Torres, a former police detective with tired eyes and a reputation for discretion. I met her in a coffee shop 3 towns over, somewhere Sarah would never accidentally see us. I need everything, I told her, sliding an envelope across the table. Paternity confirmation, current whereabouts of Marcus Chen, financial records, communication history, anything that proves what happened. Rachel didn't ask questions about my motivations. She'd seen enough betrayal in her career to know the look on a man's face when his world had collapsed. This will take time, she warned. And it won't be cheap. I don't care about the cost. I care about ammunition. Over the next 6 months, I became someone I didn't recognize. During the day, I was the same David, kissing Sarah goodbye, helping Emma with college applications, attending her art shows. At night, I was someone else entirely. I opened separate bank accounts, slowly transferring money from our joint savings. I liquidated stocks, claiming market concerns. I moved assets into offshore accounts that Sarah's divorce lawyer would never find. Rachel delivered her findings in increments. The DNA test was first, performed using hair from Emma's brush, processed through a private lab. The results confirmed what my heart already knew. 0% probability of paternity. Emma wasn't mine. Marcus Chen was easier to find than I'd expected. He'd built an impressive life in Seattle, VP of operations at a major tech company, married to a woman named Jennifer for 12 years, 2 sons ages 9 and 7. His LinkedIn profile showed him at charity galas and corporate events, smiling next to his picture-perfect family. He'd abandoned 1 child and replaced her with 2 legitimate ones, never looking back. The hypocrisy made me physically ill. Rachel found more old emails between Sarah and Marcus, recovered from a defunct account she'd forgotten to delete. They revealed everything. Sarah's pregnancy, Marcus's panic, his ultimatum that he wouldn't sacrifice his career for a baby. Sarah's calculations about which man could provide the better life. Her decision to trap me, the safe choice, while never quite letting go of her feelings for Marcus. I'll always wonder what if she'd written to him 2 years into our marriage. But David is a good father. Emma deserves stability. I'd been her consolation prize. Her safety net. The fool willing to raise another man's child while she pined for her real love. I spent those 6 months planning every detail. I consulted with lawyers, understanding exactly how paternity fraud cases worked. In our state, I had rights, the ability to contest paternity even after 16 years, to be released from financial obligations. Some men in my position chose to maintain their relationships with the children they'd raised. They separated the innocent child from the guilty mother. I wouldn't be one of those men. Emma was a living reminder of Sarah's betrayal, of Marcus's cowardice, of my own blindness. Every time I looked at her, I saw 16 years of lies. When everything was in place, I struck. First, I contacted Marcus. Not directly. That would have given him time to prepare. Instead, I sent a package to his office. Inside, copies of his old love letters to Sarah, DNA test results proving Emma was his daughter, photographs of Emma throughout her life, soccer games, school plays, birthdays he'd missed. And a letter from me. You have a daughter named Emma. She's brilliant, artistic, and kind. She's also about to find out her father is a coward who abandoned her before she was born. Your wife Jennifer deserves to know this too. Your sons deserve to know they have a sister you threw away. By the time you read this, everyone in your life will know what kind of man you really are. I sent copies to his wife, his HR department, and several board members of his company. The tech industry loved its family values and ethical leadership. Let them reconcile that with a man who'd abandoned his own child. Then I filed for divorce. Sarah came home to find me at the kitchen table, papers spread before me. The DNA results. The letters. The emails. 16 years of evidence. David. Her voice was small, uncertain. She knew. She'd always known this day might come. Sit down, Sarah. I watched the color drain from her face as I laid it out, piece by piece. I watched her try to explain, to justify, to apologize. I felt nothing. I'm filing for divorce. I'm contesting Emma's paternity. The court will release me from all financial obligations, past, present, and future. You committed paternity fraud, and I have more than enough evidence. Emma, she whispered. David, please. She doesn't deserve. You should have thought about what Emma deserved 16 years ago. The court proceedings were brutal and efficient. The DNA evidence was irrefutable. The judge ruled in my favor on every count. No child support. Emma wasn't my legal responsibility. No alimony. Sarah's fraud voided her claims. The house, in my name alone, stayed mine. In Seattle, Marcus's life imploded exactly as I'd planned. Jennifer filed for divorce within 48 hours of receiving the package. His company, facing public pressure about his character issues, encouraged his resignation. The local news picked up the story. Tech executive abandons daughter, faces professional consequences. I'd won, completely and absolutely. But when I looked at the empty house, Emma's bedroom door closed and her belongings gone, the victory felt hollow. The house felt like a mausoleum. Every room echoed with ghosts of a life that had never been real. I'd kept everything exactly as it was. Emma's art supplies still scattered across the desk in her room, Sarah's coffee mug still in the cabinet, family photos still on the walls. I told myself I just hadn't gotten around to clearing things out, but the truth was darker. I was punishing myself by living among the ruins. 3 months after the divorce was finalized, I received word that Marcus had attempted suicide. He'd survived, barely, and was in psychiatric care. His ex-wife Jennifer had full custody of their sons and had obtained a restraining order. He'd lost everything: his career, his family, his reputation, his future. I felt nothing when I heard. No satisfaction, no regret. Just emptiness. Sarah had moved into a cramped apartment across town, working 2 jobs to survive. I'd see her occasionally at the grocery store, looking 20 years older than she had a year ago. She'd lost weight, her hair had gone gray, and those green eyes that once captivated me were dull and defeated. Sometimes she'd see me too, and I'd watch her flinch before hurrying away. Emma had gone to live with Sarah's sister in California. She'd deferred her college admission, unable to focus on applications while her entire world burned down around her. Sarah told me this in one of her desperate emails, begging me to reconsider, to at least talk to Emma. I deleted them all without responding. Until Emma's letter arrived. It came on a Tuesday, 11 months after I'd detonated all our lives. Plain envelope, careful handwriting I'd know anywhere. I'd helped her practice her cursive at the kitchen table when she was 7. My hands shook as I opened it. David, it began. Not, Dad. That word was gone forever. I'm not writing to ask you to forgive Mom, or to forgive Marcus, or even to forgive me for existing. I'm writing because my therapist says I need closure, and I guess you do too. I've spent the last year angry. Angry at Mom for lying. Angry at Marcus for being a coward. Angry at you for punishing me for things I couldn't control. I was the only innocent person in this entire mess, and somehow I'm the one who lost everything. But I've had time to think. You raised me for 16 years believing I was yours. You loved me. I know you did. I felt it every single day. The way you'd make pancakes shaped like dinosaurs. How you'd stay up late helping me with math homework even though you had early meetings. The pride on your face at my art shows. That was real, even if the biology wasn't. You must have felt so betrayed. I understand that now. Mom stole your choice, and Marcus ran from his responsibility, and you were left holding a life built on lies. I'm sorry that happened to you. I really am. But David, I didn't lie to you. I called you dad because you were my dad. I loved you because you were lovable. And when you found out the truth, you didn't just leave mom, you erased me. Like 16 years of being your daughter meant nothing the second you learned about the DNA. That's what I can't forgive. Not that you left, but how completely you threw me away. I'm doing okay now. Aunt Lisa is helping me apply to schools again. I'm painting more. I'm in therapy. I'm surviving. I don't expect us to have a relationship. I don't even know if I want one anymore. But I needed you to know that I existed before you knew the truth, and I still exist after. I'm not just the evidence of someone else's betrayal. I'm a person who loved you. I hope someday you find peace with whatever you need to find peace with. Emma. I read that letter 17 times the first night. Then I walked upstairs to her room and really looked at it for the first time since she'd left. Her paintings covered the walls. Landscapes and portraits and abstract pieces that showed real talent. There was one of our family at the beach, all of us laughing, from the summer she was 12. She'd captured something in it, some joy that I'd forgotten existed. In the corner of the canvas, she'd signed it, Emma Parker. For Dad. I picked up her sketchbook from the desk, flipping through pages of drawings. There were dozens of me, sketches of my hands, my profile, studies of expressions she'd captured when I wasn't looking. An artist's love letter to her subject. She'd seen me, really seen me, and she'd loved what she saw. I sat on her bed and cried for the first time since finding those letters. Not for Sarah, not for my broken marriage, but for Emma. For the innocent child I'd punished because I needed someone to hurt the way I hurt. My revenge had changed everything, just as I'd planned. I'd destroyed Sarah's security, demolished Marcus's perfect life, and proven to the world that I was the victim. I'd won every legal battle, recovered every asset, emerged financially intact. But I'd also destroyed a 16-year-old girl whose only crime was being born. The victory I'd crafted so carefully tasted like poison. I had my house, my money, my vindication. What I didn't have was my humanity. I'd become so focused on making Sarah and Marcus pay that I'd forgotten Emma was paying too. Sitting in her empty room, surrounded by evidence of her love, I finally understood what I'd done. I hadn't just rejected paternity. I'd rejected a child who'd never rejected me. I'd chosen revenge over compassion, punishment over healing. The worst part was knowing I couldn't undo it. I could apologize, could try to rebuild what I'd demolished, but those words in her letter, I don't even know if I want one anymore, told me everything. I'd broken something that might never be repaired. I'd won the war, just as I'd planned. But I'd lost myself completely. And unlike money or houses or legal victories, that was something no amount of planning could ever get back.